All right, guys, so today I am going to read Danger Ahead and let's see what happens. Remember to be jotting down what important information the author shares. Danger Ahead. So this right here is a text feature. It's called a timestamp and it's April 13th. After 3 days at sea, the trip has seemed like a vacation for most of the passengers, but soon the Titanic will be entering an area of the North Atlantic where icebergs float. April 14th, 11:40 a.m. p.m. All day, the Titanic had received iceberg warnings in Morse code over wireless telegraph. Now, as the ship speeds through the night, lookouts watch for icebergs from the crow's nest. All is quiet for the freezing cold night, and the ocean is incredibly calm. So just like we read yesterday, you can see here is another text feature, right? And it says mighty icebergs. And here we're able to see an illustration and it describes what is happening. But then their watch was about to come to an end, and the lookouts see a dark object looming ahead. It's an iceberg, and the Titanic is heading straight to it. Quickly, one of the lookouts sounds an alarm bell and the shouts out to the telegraph connected to the bridge, "Iceberg right ahead!" With no time to waste, the first officer calls for the ship's wheels to be turned as far as possible. Then he orders the engines to be stopped and put into reverse. High in the crow's nest, the lookouts brace themselves for a collision as the iceberg looms closer and closer. Slowly, the ship starts to veer away from the iceberg, but it's too late. There is a slight bump and a ripping noise as the iceberg scrapes the starboard side of the Titanic. Many passengers are asleep. The small bump to the ship isn't enough to disturb them, but it wakes the Captain Smith. He rushes to the bridge and finds out what has happened. So here another text feature is the illustration, and you can see how it brushes through and hits the side of the iceberg. Down below, the men working in one of the boiler rooms are almost swept off their feet as water gushes into the room. Within minutes, the water is at waist high. Automatic doors begin to seal the flooding compartments. The men rush to escape before they shut, but the water is rising higher and flowing over the tops of the compartments, flooding one after another. Timestamp, April 15th, 12:05. Under the boats, Captain Smith orders his crew, uncover the boats. Then he instructs the two wireless operators to start signaling for help. He knows the Titanic is going to sink, and he knows that there are not enough lifeboats to get all the passengers off safely. So here you can see in the illustration, the workers in the compartment being stuck in the water down on the bottom. Not far from the panic in the boiler room, many passengers are still fast asleep, unaware of the collision. Out on the third-class deck, a few passengers find chunks of ice and start playing soccer. They have no idea how much danger they are in. Timestamp, April 15th, 12:50 a.m. It is now past midnight. Many passengers come up from their rooms in their pajamas, but some are still wearing their evening clothes. Colonel Ashore and his wife make their way to the gymnasium next to the boat deck. There they wait for the crew to get a lifeboat ready. Colonel Ashore cuts through the spare life jacket to show his wife what is inside. Now a crew begins to direct the passengers into the boats. "Women and children first," they shout. So here is an illustration with a text box that tells us how the life jackets looked and inside the life jacket that they wore. So these are the pages. What important information did the author share? Go ahead and type that or say it in the next slide on our Nearpod.